What's up, guys and girls? It's Ghost Robo, and this is a weird subject, one that I try to traditionally avoid. Anything with drama or YouTube stuff I try to avoid, but I want to just give you my 2 cents in my opinion because I feel like it's, at least what I've seen, it hasn't been represented. So I felt compelled to give you my side or a different side of this whole kerfluffle. And I'm talking about all the stuff with Pewdiepie, with Jontron, with Colin, Moriarity, and I'm not going to touch on any of their issues specifically or sort of the aftermath of any of those issues, but what I am going to touch on is sort of people's, how people behave online and then the reactions and sort of the results of that. And I've seen a lot of people come at this from many angles. Some saying like, hey, YouTubers should stick together and it wasn't so bad. Hey, you know, you can make jokes about anything. Some people are just too sensitive. Some people say, oh, it was all bad and these people should be shunned and shamed. None of that really fits sort of how I feel about this. And the way I kind of like to approach it is from a position of trying to be, I guess as dumb as it sounds, trying to make the world a better place and coming from a position of kindness and love rather than what your personal like agenda or right or desire is. So to give you a little backstory, I was raised very differently than most. I was raised on love and kindness. I was raised on compassion. I was raised on protection, but not so much like a physical protection. Believe me, I never got in any fights. Complete pacifist. But more protection, like protect the innocence of life and of kids and of people in general. Protect the purity of life. And that's something that I feel has gone like out the window in modern society and with modern social media and kind of the 24/7 grind that is the internet. And how that just eats normalcy alive and eats like simple life alive and turns things into messes. So you have these people that are saying things that some I think are very not so nice. And I've seen some people say like, hey, any opinion is a valid opinion. I don't think that's true. I think if your opinion is hating someone or hating some group or being vicious, I don't think that's a valid opinion. I think that's a very hateful and anger-filled approach. I don't think that is a, I have an opinion that should be, you know, treated equally. That's just kind of a very vendetta and rage-fueled way to live. And even if you're calm about it, there still is underlying anger and upset, and I'm not really for that in any way. Do I think people have the right to make jokes? Sure. I think you need to understand the repercussions, but most importantly, I think you have to have tact. And in all of this discussion about Pewdiepie and Jontron and Colin, almost all of the discussion falls onto the creator. And all of the emotion, all of it, all the feedback is on the creator. And none of it is turned on to the audience. And I think that is sort of the missing piece of this puzzle. No one is considering the viewer. No one is considering the consumer. Right? Because it's one thing to be like, I can say what I want, I can do what I want, I can produce what I want, I can make what I want, and people who receive it, that's their responsibility. Shift all of that to them, and I just don't view it that way. I think at a certain level, creators of any kind, whether you're making movies, writing books, teaching children, doing art projects, making YouTube videos, I feel like you have some responsibility to the world and to your eventual or your current or your future audience. And what I mean by that is, let's take a simple example. Are really inappropriate sexual jokes bad? No. Are really inappropriate sexual jokes bad if they come from a school teacher to a group of 3rd graders? Probably. That's not really the right spot to use it. That's not really the right spot to do it. That's not really going to achieve anything except probably a lot of negative things. So I kind of view it that way. Is it, I guess, in some people's world, funny to tell these jokes at the expense of groups and other people's? Okay. That's not for me. That's not how I ever will be, but okay. But that's not okay then to put on YouTube when you have thousands or millions of impressionable eyes and ears. And also consider that people within the groups that you're making jokes about are in that viewership, right? They're part of that audience. And maybe they feel like trash because of your joke. Or maybe they feel horrible because of the content that you put out. And no one ever seems to talk about that. No one considers that some of these YouTubers, some of these content creators have millions of people watching them. and trusting them and believing them and putting sort of their faith and their goodwill into them. Now, do I think that these content creators should be bashed or, burned at the stake or anything like that? No. But I do think it's important to recognize and realize that the audience, I personally feel, needs to be taken into account when creating content. I know it's a weird opinion, but I'm of the mind that I would rather really terrible, hateful, disgusting, gross, gory, like that stuff just not be there. I don't think it serves any good. I don't think it serves any purpose. And so when I hear people talk about like, oh, it's good to have discussions about any opinion, even if it's hate, that really strikes me as a no-no. Because I don't think there's any point in life or point in the world where that is going to bring about any good. Unless you're trying to convince the person that what they're saying is hurtful and hateful and unkind, I don't even know how it's a valuable conversation to even entertain. Because like at the end of the day, love and kindness and compassion and understanding and tact are the way that you make things work. And ultimately the way that people get what they want. I know there's the weird cases of like really evil people taking over and achieving things that way, and we may be in the midst of one of the worst cases of that, but for the most part, at the end of the day, in normal life, coming at things from a kind, caring, and sort of wholesale, really compassionate approach is the best way. The simplest example is within my YouTube career. I have a lot of good connections and opportunities because I approach things from a position of kindness, from a position of professionalism, from a position of being nice, and some people don't, and they're blacklisted. Now that's a very basic example, but that can apply to any area, okay? And that is true for parenting, right? The more loving and kind, nurturing energy you invest into your children, the more they are going to give that back, and the more they are going to really put that out in the world. And again, there's anomalies and situations where people have everything and still end up in a terrible way. But for the most part, you invest good, you will get good out. And so I think that for content creators, I'm not saying you have to be all roses and rainbows, but I think it's important to think about, what are we doing here? Sure, we're trying to make people laugh. Sure, we're trying to entertain. Sure, we're trying to make people smile. But can it be done in a way that doesn't have to hurt, or doesn't have to upset, or doesn't have to cause this commotion? At some level you wonder, like, is this being done just as like a hype machine? Because why can't someone make a joke about something that isn't going to really offend a certain group, or isn't going to really step on the toes of a religion or a gender or anything like that? Because it can be done. We've seen it. There's plenty of ways to be really funny without doing that. So my thing isn't so much like, oh, why are people offended by this? Why are we reacting to this? Why aren't we considering it? Why are they getting lambasted? It's like, that person is smart enough to have made all these videos or have made all of this popularity, and they can't realize that this may be a problem? Like, I feel like they have to know. I feel like they have to understand and know what they're getting themselves into. And if they choose to embark on that cruise ship towards chaos, then so be it. But I really think the missing piece of the puzzle here is considering the audience. Like, I, on a different level, take it into account. If I'm having a really bad day, I don't go and just spew, or I try not to go and spew all of that negativity onto you, onto Twitter, onto YouTube, because all that would do is probably bring you down or make you frustrated. Now, I used to be guilty of that. If something was going wrong in my life, I really, let out my frustration on social media, and maybe that is what these people are doing in a weird way. But I think if you can sort of have some calm, some inner just foundational strength, and say, like, what I want to put out is what I want to see in the world. And I bet these people who have been in the news and have been sort of the subject of all this drama, I bet they don't really desire to have a negative focal lens on them. I don't think that's what they want. I don't think any of these people are bad people inherently. I hope not. And I just think there's not enough consideration for those around us, and this is like an issue that is evident everywhere. Look at how people talk to each other. Look at how people treat their girlfriends and boyfriends. Look at how people treat their kids. Look at how people treat their parents. There really is little regard for others. And that's what's so strange to me about watching these videos and these responses and these articles. whether they are bashing the creator, whether they are standing behind the creator, no one ever considers the other. And I see people say like, yes, it's hurtful, yes, it's inspiring this, and I know with the PewDiePie issue there was talk of like, oh, it's inspiring hate speech. Some of that stuff I think went too far. Some of the articles and some of the discussion I think pushed things to a level that was just, again, buying into that hype cycle and trying to create controversy out of controversy and more controversy because that's what sells. But I don't see people saying like, hey, there maybe is a responsibility to our viewers, to our audience, to audiences in general. And why would you not want to fill that space with something a little bit nicer, a little bit more positive? And trust me, I'm not advocating for some sort of like robotic legal speak where everyone follows this Mad Lib of politically correct approved sentences. That's not what I'm saying at all. But there definitely is an easy way to still be funny and not hurt. There's definitely an easy way to still be cool and not hurt. There's definitely an easy way to still have fun and not hurt. And we just need to take an extra moment to find those ways. And maybe it's not the first thing that comes to your mind, but it'd probably be the second thing. It's not that hard to make the joke, just to get specific for a second, it's not that hard to make the joke that PewDiePie made with something that would not hurt people, would not potentially offend or upset or belittle people. That is a simple switch, a real simple switch. And I think that there is sensitivity, there is some overreaction, but there still is a responsibility, I feel, to be considerate of those that you are speaking to, of those in your audience, and to find a way to still be fun and be awesome and be entertaining without hurting. You can tell great jokes, hilarious jokes, inappropriate jokes that aren't going to potentially make somebody cry or really, really offend and affect and bring about this sort of negativity. And you frequently hear like, who are they to tell me what to say? Who are they to tell me what I can and can't joke about? Who are they to tell me what I can and can't do? And like, that's fine and dandy, and you're welcome to do that, but wouldn't you rather be the type of person that does consider others? That does have a little bit of empathy for those around you, that does approach situations in a way that is going to be a positive? I mean, you can do whatever you want, I guess. I'm just not sure why you'd want to. And I think people get real caught up in this anger and this stubborn, I don't know, there's just like this, I'm gonna be my own person and do what I want and say what I want, and somehow that is really fulfilling to certain individuals, and that feels really almost like vindictive against the world, and I don't think that's a needed thing. I think if people step back and take a deep breath, I'm not sure that's the approach that anyone really deep down wants to take. But there's like this certain, we've kind of like glorified this style of living where people just like don't give a crap and they just do whatever and they don't consider anyone. And to a certain extent, like there is self-empowerment in that and there is personal strength, but you gotta be real judicious about that. You gotta really walk the line with that. And it can't just be about like vomiting out whatever you want and screw the world for taking it how they take it. I think personal self-empowerment is about being strong in who you are and being confident and being brave and being bold. None of that has to do with hurting or offending or being obnoxious. Separate things. We collapse them a lot, but they're separate. You can be I'm not gonna take crap from people kind of person and do it in a really positive, kind, professional way. Many of the most successful people do it that way, and that's why they're successful. Yes, the rare occasion where someone's super obnoxious, super rude, super like doesn't care about anybody, they get through and make it to the top. But I don't even know if they're happy. I don't know if they care. I don't know if all of that fame and fortune really matters to them, because they have left a trail of fire and flames and killed off most relationships in the process. So it sounds good, it feels good at first, but really, if that's the kind of mentality, like take a deep breath and see, do I want to approach life this way? And do I want to have a disregard for everyone else? Or do I want to still be brave and bold and believe in myself, but do it in a way that is positive and do it in a way that has compassion for the world around us? People more fortunate, less fortunate, different, same, all of that. I think that there's a way to live life powerfully, strongly, confidently, coolly, courageously, and intensely, if that's what you're into, or with a lot of fun, or with a lot of freaking zest and excitement, and you know, that's all possible from a place of still like kindness, goodness, positivity. It doesn't, crazy and cool and really fun and excited and intense does not have to mean like bashing everything in your path. Let's separate those two. Do we have an overly sensitive culture, and is our generation overly sensitive? Yes. But I think that, again, this is something that needs to be separated, because being overly sensitive on Twitter or on like YouTube comments or whatever is very different than having a sensitivity to other people's feelings and emotions around you. And that is a good thing. It is a good thing to understand and have a connection or a sensitivity towards other people and their feelings and their emotions and hurt and what causes happiness, what causes sadness, what causes positivity, what causes negativity. I'm not saying like be overly sensitive because someone said that PlayStation 4 is better than Xbox. That's obviously ridiculous. And yes, we're way too oversensitive about some things. And people do get offended probably too easily. But I still think that does not change the fact that having an awareness and an appreciation and an understanding and a sensitivity to others is still an important and valuable quality to possess in the year 2017. At some level, life just isn't about getting everything for yourself and making your life as amazing as possible. And yeah, definitely devote some time to that, and definitely devote a lot of time to that, to you and your people. But for me, life is also about trying to ensure and trying to encourage and help create a great life for others, for those around me, for those I do know, for those I don't know. And I think that a lot of that gets forgotten in these discussions. A lot of that gets sort of brushed under the rug. Like, at the end of the day, our experience here in life isn't just about us. You gotta consider everybody else. And you gotta consider how your actions impact those. And it would be a lot better place for everybody if we all tried to help somebody out. And that doesn't have to be giving them money or giving them gifts or giving them a house or giving them a job. It can be simple things like being kind in your speaking and being supportive in your care and being helpful in your encouragement. And there's a lot of ways to positively impact the world that don't involve donating, that don't involve giving away, that don't involve the things that people traditionally think of as the generous ways to better society or better the world. A lot of it can be just like how you act and how you behave and what you put out in the world. Like, that energy and those ways of spreading love and kindness can have an impact and do have an impact. We've seen it. That's why people have gatherings, and that's why people have protests, and that's why people get together, and even if it's not accomplishing anything, it's spreading that sort of hopefully positive love and understanding and compassion and kindness and feeling that you're in this together. You're in this with others. It's not just you, and it's not just about you, but it's about the whole. And look, on most days that's way easier said than done. I don't do it every day, but I think we have to find a way, or it would be great to try and find a way to better our own lives and better others' lives along the way. And I think those two can go hand in hand super easily. Just gotta be aware, just gotta take a second, and you just gotta care. But I think when it comes to the real hateful examples, the real sort of like head scratcher moments, all it needs is a step back and an adjustment and an awareness. Like, that is what's missing, the awareness. It's in my worldview, in my ethics, it's not okay to have some of those thoughts and opinions, and I would hope that I never fall prey to being a hateful human being. But if that is what you're gonna do, like, do it in the privacy of your own life. Why spread that? And because it's not just spreading it to sully your career or put a black mark on your channel, it's spreading it to the people that are watching. And all of a sudden, you're now filling your sort of dark thoughts and your dark stuff and just pushing it onto everyone else. And like I said, no one thinks about the kid who is super sensitive and maybe going through a tough time, and then here's this joke or here's this kind of hateful opinion, and it has a profound impact, and a profoundly negative impact at that. Nobody wants to take a moment to stop and say, oh, are we too sensitive? Are we too not? And just say, hey, can we just be nice? Can we just find a way to be funny and make jokes without using the real easy bait of a religion, of an ethnicity, of a gender, of a group, of a recent issue, of a disease? I mean, is it that hard? Are there not enough other things to be funny about? Are you not inherently funny, so you have to utilize and bank on something that is going to, you know, really just stroke the fire? And that's where I come at this. I am not a perfect person. I don't think anyone is. But I would like to see more people try and think of others and think of the whole scenario. Awareness is something that really doesn't exist in most of modern society, and it would help so much. Stepping back, taking a moment, approaching from multiple perspectives. Consider other people's opinions, consider other people's point of views, consider other people's feelings. If someone is going to be really angrily hateful or really brutal towards certain groups, I don't think there's a place for that, and I'd love to see that stuff stop. You know, like I said, the Jontron thing, the Colin thing, the Pewdiepie thing, they're all on different levels. They're all on different... They all strike different spectrums of this whole discussion. And I've seen different people respond. I've seen Boogie's response. I've seen, you know, Phil DeFranco's stuff. I've seen different people respond. And I don't like where we're not considering the viewer, the audience, the consumer. It feels like all the focus is on the creator and trying to protect them and trying to make it okay for them, / appease them, / say that all opinions should be considered, say it's just a discussion. But hurtful things aren't really a discussion. Hurtful jokes can easily be modified and turned into something just as funny but not as hurtful. But I think you run a dangerous and fine line when you're going to take that approach and you have the influence and the ears and the eyes of millions. And I would hope that we could all consider that. And I don't really have a solution. I don't really have an end goal. I just think that it's important to be aware of kind of the other side of this, which is how is it received, and is there a responsibility on the creator to consider the audience? And I think there absolutely is. I don't think it's fair to say, hey, I'm going to make a really awful joke, or I'm going to make a comment that could be really hurtful, and just it sucks. It's up to you how you take it. I think that is a very immature and unkind approach, and I don't think it's very becoming, especially on YouTube, which already struggles with seeming like kind of an unprofessional and not a real job. I think it would be great if people took more time to consider and be compassionate and be aware and think a little before they put stuff out. And whether it's for clicks, whether it's for chaos, whether it's for hype, whether it's because that's how they honestly feel, I think it all still deserves a moment to consider and then move forward. And if they still feel like that's the right way to go, then they have to be ready for the consequences. And that's just the way the cookie crumbles, to reference a really old weird joke I heard on Full House years and years ago. Or Sane, I don't know. What's the joke anymore? I'm a weirdo, but I don't think everything is up for fair game when it comes to jokes. I don't think everything is jokeable. I don't think everything is able to be made light of. I think there's some things that you really shouldn't. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. I know this is kind of a strange opinion, but I really want to get it out there because I normally don't talk about this stuff, and I just feel like it needed to be said, and I wanted to, at least to you guys and girls, bring a different way of looking at it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'm not sure what to expect, if this is going to be liked a lot, disliked a lot, disagreed with, agreed with, all the above, but we'll find out. Until next time, everyone, I love you. My goal here is to spread goodness, and I think we've got so much crap in the world and people are dealing with so much crap. The last thing you need is to turn on YouTube or go to Twitter and see people that potentially hurt and offend and ruin even a small percentage of their audience's days. And I'm not saying we all have to be politically correct robots and only type in, you know, legal speak, but there's an easy way to do stuff that's not going to hurt. There's an easy way to do stuff that's still funny, that's not going to hurt. There's an easy way to do stuff that's still cool, that's not going to hurt. And I think it just takes an extra second to find that way. So until that time, drink so much all. Thanks again. I love you. We will see you all later.